President Trump met with Ukrainian President Zelensky at the White House today, just one day after having an over 2-hour phone conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin, as we heard earlier. Now, while Ukraine is pressing for new weapons to fight Moscow, President Trump seemed reluctant to provide Kyiv with the long-range Tomahawk missiles they want, saying the U.S. would rather the war be over. Given what President Trump did in the Middle East, could the Russia-Ukraine conflict soon be over? Joining me now to discuss this and more, Congressman Kevin Hern. He's the chair of the Republican Policy Committee and a member of the House Ways and Means Committee. He represents the 1st Congressional District of the Sooner State. Congressman Hern, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to see you.
Great to be with you, Tony. Thanks for all you do.
Well, it's good to have you on the program on this Friday. Let's talk about Russian President Putin coming to the table, actually wanting to talk with the president after resolution of the conflict, or at least what appears to be a resolution of the conflict in the Middle East. I tend to think it's probably his conversation or the comments he made about the Tomahawk missiles possibly going to Ukraine. What say you?
Well, I think that we all know, or certainly what we're seeing with President Trump, it's unorthodox. He's being a strong leader, unlike what we've seen in the past, just what we saw just a few years ago that unleashed Vladimir Putin when we saw the debacle in Afghanistan in August of 21, where, 13 Gold Star families, we saw that happen because of Joe Biden. And then it's unleashed the world. I mean, President Trump has spent the first 9 months in office trying to put out these fights all over the world, and he's got one big one left. And I think what you're seeing right now, I had a Democrat once tell me, leadership used to work for Obama. I said, why do these leaders, not start wars under President Trump? And they all think, they said that because he is a very scary individual, and that's how you have to deal with these guys.
Well, I mean, he's unpredictable. President Trump, unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do, and I think that works to his advantage. A 2-hour conversation with Putin after he basically, gave the stiff arm to the president earlier. It appears to me that Putin's looking for a way out.
Well, it was just reported today that he's lost over 1 million Russians, either killed or maimed so badly that he's having to rely on North Korean troops or, renegades from around the world to come in and fight his war. And that's very problematic for him. And so I think what he's seeing is that President Trump is going to solve this issue with or without him. And he's going to do it through Ukraine, and he's going to do it through NATO. I just had NATO people in my office this past week, and they're concerned about what's going on there and how it's continued to fester and go on, and they're supporting President Trump 100%. It's totally different today with NATO than it was in his first term. They understand he is serious about stopping these wars around the world, and they're getting on board.
You mentioned the troops that are fighting for Russia. I mean, don't forget the North Korean troops that went over to fight with Russia as well. So they are scrounging. They're looking everywhere they can to find troops that they can put on the battlefield. Speaking of wars, the Senate Democrats this week voted to block the annual full-year defense appropriations bill, despite the measure passing out of committee with strong bipartisan support. What does this tell you about the Democrats' priorities?
Well, certainly they hate President Trump more than they love our military. This started back in mid-September when the House passed the clean CR, a Biden funding level CR, because that's what we thought, and Senator Thune thought we could get through quickly so we could get back to regular order with the appropriation bills and pass things like the defense appropriation bill. But Hakeem Jeffries and all Democrats except one voted to shut down the government then we sent it to the Senate, and now we've seen Chuck Schumer vote almost a dozen times, including not voting for the defense authorization, the defense appropriation yesterday, when 11 Democrats supported it out of committee. Those 11 Democrats voted against it. Had they voted for the bill that they voted out of committee for, we would be funding our troops right now. But they don't even want to fund our troops. Thank God for President Trump for what he did in finding money to support our men and women in uniform. But unfortunately, the very people that protect the Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate are not getting paid, the Capitol Police. I don't know how the Democrats walk by these individuals every single day and say thank you when they're the ones withholding their pay.
Congressman Hern, just have a little over a minute left. Government shutdown, the House back in their districts, working in their districts. What's waiting for the Republican House and their agenda to deal with when Congress opens back up?
Well, we have the things that, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer want to talk about, health care. We've been doing health care hearings in Ways and Means. We think it's a very bipartisan issue. We need to work on it. This idea that Chuck Schumer wants to get Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Thune and the Speaker together and cut a deal on, funding $40 billion a year or $400 billion in premium tax credits that they shortened themselves 2 years ago because they didn't think they needed them longer than 2 years. These are the things we need to get on and make sure that the American people's health care costs don't rise. But this idea of just shutting down the government and hurting everyone is ludicrous. They want to send checks to the insurance companies. We want to make sure that underlying health care is affordable for everyone, not just those folks that are on the Obamacare.
Congressman Kevin Hern, thanks for joining us on this Friday. Always great to see you, my friend.
Tony, take care.